Good morning, it's Patrick here from Complete Health, and I'm going to go through 5 ways that you can actually reduce your inflammation in your body today. So the reality of it is pretty much every single injury that we ever see has got some level of inflammation. So say, for example, if we break our arm or we bang our elbow or we even bend over to put on our socks and a tissue becomes injured, there is going to be some level of inflammation there because our blood needs to get into the area in order to actually start that healing process. Happens. So we obviously know that inflammation is to some degree helpful. However, obviously chronic inflammation becomes a bit of an issue. So what we want to do is just be able to find ways that we can actually reduce that down so that it doesn't become a long-term issue. We're trying to actually cut down the amount of inflammation so we can speed up the healing time. So I'm going to give you my 5 biggest tips that I know will actually start this process pretty much immediately from today. So number 1, what we want to have a look at is if you drink a lot of coffee, actually switching one of your cups of coffee today for a cup of green tea. So what we know about coffee versus green tea, there are much more, I can never say this word, phenolphthaleins in tea than what there is in coffee. So what we know is that even though coffee is anti-inflammatory, tea has a much more anti-inflammatory effect, but especially green tea, because unlike black tea, there's much less of a filtration process going on with green tea. It's much more natural, and so therefore we have so many more of the antioxidants still available in our tea if it's green versus black. Number 2 is actually making sure you get adequate levels of sleep. You'll hear me talk about this a lot because sleep is probably one of the most important functions of our body, because pretty much every single species on the planet sleeps. And so what we know is it's essential for those processes in our body to allow the organs and the tissues and the brain to actually get the adequate volumes of rest that they need so that you can actually let those tissues heal. Number 3, spice things up. Funny enough, variety is the spice of life, but actually getting a variety of different spices into your diet, pretty much all of these have an anti-inflammatory property. A lot of people already know and have heard of the anti-inflammatory properties that you get with, say, for example, something like turmeric. Turmeric is obviously a root, very similar to ginger with that very orange color, but you can get also in powders, etc. But you'll see a lot of turmeric and black pepper powders that are actually sold as supplements. And the reason being for that is that actually they have a huge impact on people's level of inflammation. And the number four, if you have a high level of dairy and gluten in your diet. Now, what we know about gluten, especially now, is about 4 times higher, or is 4 to 8 times higher in wheat now than what it used to be about 20 to 30 years ago. And this is due to the mass agriculture and the advances in agriculture that's actually mutated genetically the wheat germ, because we basically need to produce much more. And so there's a much higher content of that protein, gluten, which is actually undigestible by our gut. And because it's undigestible, it actually causes a lot of irritation on the inside of the colon. Now, if your colon is constantly inflamed, that inflammation is eventually going to spread. And so what we know about inflammation anywhere is it's going to be a problem. So dairy and gluten can both be very irritable on our bowels. So again, this is something really simply that if you cut down or eliminate will start to change your inflammation as well. Now, for some people, inflammation is not going to change. It doesn't matter how much we do these things, because there's actually an injury that's taken place. And in that kind of an instance, that's where a professional comes in. And this is really number 5, which is if your injury is not actually resolving, it's always worth getting it checked by a professional. That's why we have physiotherapists, that's why we have doctors, that's why we have chiropractors and massage therapists, because we're here to actually aid your body in recovering from that process. And there are many more benefits than just reducing inflammation. We can increase range of motion, we can increase performance and function, but actually getting yourself checked to ensure that those things are not going to become a long-term thing is really, really helpful. So guys, if you found some value in this video, please like and subscribe and share if you would like. You can also find these videos on our YouTube channel, and equally we've got loads and loads of information that's coming up on our podcast channel, which is Coffee with the Chiropractor, which can be found on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite listening platform. So for now guys, enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the sun, go get your vitamin D. Make sure you're doing what you can during this lockdown period now that we're going back to normal. Make sure you keep some of those really healthy habits that you've learned. Goodbye for now.